We are under 2 weeks. Crazy. We are going to be talking spring ball this month. February 27th is the start of BYU spring camp. If I'm breaking news to any of y'all, well, there you go. February 27th is the start of BYU's annual spring camp. But we've been talking about burning questions, and we previously talked about BYU's quarterback situation and the backup quarterback duel. Well, obviously, a strong running game is a quarterback's best friend, and BYU has, I think, a pure thoroughbred returning in LJ Martin. He is going to be BYU's top back, barring him not being healthy for whatever reason. He dealt with numerous dings and dents last season that really slowed him down. But when he was at his best, think of that SMU game, think of what he did in the bowl game against Colorado. When LJ's healthy, he is as good as they come for the BYU football program. Well, now with Hinckley Rapati expected to be exiting the program, who was essentially the complement to LJ all last year and really has been kind of that Robin to the Batman for many BYU running backs of the past 4 or 5 years, who is the next guy to step up? I know that the easy answer is to say, well, it's got to be a guy like Pokai Huanga. Okay, Pokai's in the mix, absolutely. But here's the deal. I think the BYU, and I think the other answer is Sione Moa. But the biggest thing I would like to mention here is BYU doesn't have to have a delineated 1, 2, and 3. I actually would appreciate the fact that, yeah, LJ Martin, he's going to take the lion's share of the reps, but each one of the running backs in BYU stable right now, and I'm thinking, like I said, of Pokai Huanga, who they call Glitch because of his ability to knife and just really make guys miss. Well, his ability to be that scat back type, great. You can play off a guy like LJ Martin, who is a do-everything running back. Then you have a guy like Sione Moa, who to me is more of that power back. He's got speed. He's got lateral ability, but he loves nothing more that feels like them putting his shoulder down and running through dudes. So the compliments here for BYU at running back with those three in particular, and I'm not going to preclude other athletes from potentially being in the mix here, but I look at what BYU has roster-wise at running back and think that, you know what? The more the merrier. Keep guys fresh, keep them healthy, and use each of their skill sets individually. I don't think this is revolutionary information, nor it shouldn't be, I guess, for those of you out there. I also can't discount, let's say next year you have a guy like an Enoch Nawahine. He comes back. He has proven to be a very effective downhill runner when needed. You also have a guy in Jovesa Damuni who's been back from a mission for quite some time now. Can he make a move up the depth chart here in spring camp? But it is in my mind that going into spring ball, LJ Martin probably won't see a lot of action because they're going to be very intent on getting him to the season as healthy, if not 100% healthy as possible. Well, that's going to leave a lot of opportunities for these younger running backs. Like I said, Pokai Huanga, you look at Sione Moa, they're all going to have that opportunity to go out and prove themselves. But if I were Harvey Unga, Aaron Roderick, and even Kalani Sitake, whoever the brain trust you would envision would be making a decision like this as to how they would attack with the running back position, use all their skill sets. Pokai Huanga was a guy that BYU wanted to redshirt last year, obviously preserve some eligibility. Sione Moa emerged on the scene as a guy. I remember all spring camp and training camp last year, we kept seeing this Sione Moa just mow guys down. And let me admit, they were mainly against the 2s and 3s, but he would run dudes over in practice. And you're like, okay, that's a backup running back. He's doing it in practice. What is he really capable of doing? Well, he finally got his chance for BYU in the season and showed that, hey, he absolutely can get it done. Now, he obviously picked up an injury shortly thereafter, after his debut, but I think with him 100% healthy in theory, Pokai Huanga available, and then, as I mentioned, your pure thoroughbred that I like to refer to him as is LJ Martin. I think that three-headed monster could be the perfect complement to Jake Retzloff in the BYU backfield. Obviously, they all have different roles to play. Who's the better pass protector of the bunch? Who obviously would you like to have in the game on critical downs and distances? That's when you lean, I think, towards LJ Martin and his do-everything ability. But it doesn't have to be, in my mind, a clearly delineated, here's our number 1 running back, here's our number 2, here's our number 3. Yeah, it's probably a 1A in the case of LJ Martin, where he is, in my mind, clearly the top option at running back for BYU. But the 1B, 1C, whatever you want to term it, they're all right there. And the youth combined with the emerging experience, because LJ is going to be a junior this year. It's crazy to consider that LJ is already going to have 2 years of experience under his belt going into this 2025 season. But Pokai Huanga got game experience last year despite redshirting. Sione Moa, like I said, burst onto the scene and really showed some nice flashes at points. The youth, but also combined with the relative experience they already have collected in that trio, could be a really, really fun group of running backs to track during spring camp. And once again, I don't discount what Enoch Nawahine may be able to do in situational stuff. Jovesa Demuni. There's also Charles Miska, I believe, is also on the roster this spring, who's a walk-on running back. I wish I had more for you guys on who Charles Miska is and what he could offer. But the bigger point to be made, the overarching point of this burning question is, yeah, you need to obviously get these running backs healthy and get them in the game plan, but don't run them into the ground so much in spring camp that you don't have them available come training camp and come the season. Remember, there was the hot topic all summer long last year. LJ Martin, did he injure his shoulders, his knee? What's wrong? And I got him on the record and he said, no, I don't have an injury. And the start of the season, he looked like he was fully healthy. Then he picked up a high ankle sprain, I believe, against SMU. And that really hampered him through the rest of the season until he got some extended time off before the bowl game. And then in the bowl game, LJ looked as good as he has looked at any point in his time at BYU. The hope is he, Pokai Huanga, Sione Moa, they go into this upcoming season 100% healthy, and they become the HYDRA, the three-headed monster, whatever you, what is it? HYDRA is the one with the three heads of the dog or whatever. Yeah. I think I got that right in Greek mythology, but that could be a fantastic, fantastic thing to complement Jake Retzloff in the backfield and make his job all the easier. When you have effective running game and effective running back or running backs, plural, only makes life more comfortable for a quarterback back there. And I'm sure that Jake Retzloff would sign off on having as many options as available to him as BYU could muster. But I actually am very bullish on BYU's running back position this year. And I think that top trio could be something special for the BYU football program. And I do wonder how it plays out in spring camp, because we'll have limited observation windows, but I will obviously be talking to our practice insiders, getting insight on it that way as well, and passing it along to you guys. But it should be very interesting to see how they attack this, and also how they dole up reps and like how much actual live tackling and that type of stuff that BYU exposes these backs to, because it's just there's a fine line there of risking guys' health, but at the same time making sure that they are ready to go come the season. I will be interested to see how BYU handles it. But I think that running back position is one to watch in spring camp, because the bigger point to be made is that they need to complement Jake and help take some of that burden off of his shoulders, because he's proven to be a very effective runner, but you expose him to injury when he runs. So one of those things to obviously monitor as we roll on coming up here in a couple of weeks' time as spring camp gets underway.